Tekken 7.
Tekken 7.
Your review in progress is up on GameSpot.
Yeah.
If you want to go read more in depth. But your impression so far?
My impression so far is that Tekken has never been a series that changes all that much, and that's very true with this one. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's not that many 3D fighting games on the market. Like, yeah, a lot of games use 3D graphics, but they're fought on a 2D plane. So among the sort of like peers that it does have, Tekken just feels like something totally different. And its fighting system has, kind of been refined over the last 22 years. And it kind of feels like it always has, but again, that's not really bad because it really is a great fighting game. So, it's moved to Unreal Engine 4. This is the first time it's on modern consoles and PC, specifically PC, and it looks great. The fighting's good. They have a few new mechanics. Probably the most important of those is this thing called I forgot the name. It's this move basically where it's a move that has a property where you have armor. So if I initiate a punch, but you hit me while I'm going to punch you, I won't stop like I would have in the past. My punch will continue.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a risk-reward scenario where you're going to take a hit, but you're going to actually give a hit as well.
If someone's like a centimeter left of health, you could just get 2 quick hits in to finish them while
right,
they're
as long
doing
as
like
you
a
have the
huge
health
punch
to
in.
absorb their hits. Yeah.
Okay. Like Rocky 4.
Yes. But so the other part of Tekken outside of the fighting is the ridiculous characters and story. This game kind of continues that tradition of, telling, hello.
That is weird.
Weird.
That's not us.
Yeah. So it's a weird story about a family of martial artists who are constantly trying to kill each other, are constantly coming back to life as demons, and there's all these like different corporations involved. It doesn't really make sense. It's very difficult to follow, but that's kind of it's made that way. There's a lot of comedic stuff as well. A lot of the secondary characters are not really a part of the main story. They're treated as jokes. So you get this really nice mix of like self-serious but kind of kidding stuff and then outright comedy paired with a fighting game that's very technical but pretty accessible, I think.
Do you like the characters in terms of like their actual movesets fighting? Is there you feel like a good variety?
Yeah. So the last game, I want to say there were 44 characters. That has been whittled down a little bit. I think there's somewhere like 32 now.
Okay.
But that means there's less copies. You don't have as many characters that seem like, just another version of another character. But it's good. But, they all kind of fight so close together that it's not really until you play these characters that you really begin to feel their differences. I will say Akuma is now here from Street Fighter. And he plays very naturally. If you've played Street Fighter before, you know how to play Akuma. You can pretty much jump right in and pull off the moves that you want to. But, of course, you have to compete with him a little bit differently as well. It's not the same as playing in a Street Fighter game in terms of competition.
Right. So Tekken, its control conceit is that it, like each button is mapped to a limb, correct? Like
right.
Since Tekken 1.
Yes, which is why I consider this game to be pretty accessible because, unlike a game like Street Fighter where you're not really sure, like, what punches and kicks are, but here you really have this direct relationship between this is my left arm, this is my right arm, and that can help. The thing is that this game has so much depth and it does absolutely nothing to really guide you. Characters have move lists that are upwards of like 100 moves and combos that are not broken down by category in any way. You literally have to just scroll through them, which you can do by looking at the list or going into training mode and like cycling through one move after another. It's a long process, like any fighting game, to become really good in this one. But it's flashy enough and it's accessible enough that most people can jump right in. As long as their competition is on the same level as them, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it's accessible in terms of controls and everything. Looking back at Injustice 2, another recent fighting game that you reviewed yourself as well and gave a 9 out of 10, would you say that this game is using that accessibility to kind of, like you said, it is introducing maybe new people to this universe, but also kind of not without sacrificing the depth of the Tekken series?
Well, I think the accessibility here is almost consequential. Mm-hmm. I think Injustice 2, NetherRealm's games in general, like they try to be accessible up front. I think just what Tekken is just inherently accessible. I don't think they're going out of their way because again, there's no real training, right? Just the literal controls are easy to wrap your head around.
Sure.
Not the actual movesets of the characters.
Okay. As you get farther into this review, how's online going right now? Have you tried much yet?
I've only had a few matches with people in Europe. and it's been spotty connections, so I can't say. Which is why I'm kind of holding off on the review. This game will live and die by its online component.
Okay. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 was the last in the franchise. That was 2014.
I want to say 14.
And then Tekken 6 was when?
2008. Randolph Ramsey reviewed that one.
Shit. He's our editor-in-chief now.
Why you
Yes.
said that with such like anger?
Did he give it a score?
He doesn't review many games. He gave it a 8.5.
Okay.
Tekken games always score very well because they're always great and they don't need to change a lot and they never really do.
What did we give Pokken?
Pokken got a 9.
Oh, yes.
And that was from Timur Hussein.
So in your early hours, or I guess you're pretty far in now, but in your time you've spent playing now is worth the wait since the last Tekken game?
Yeah, honestly, you saw me on the lobby, the weeks leading up to this, I kept like randomly saying like, also Tekken 7's coming out. Like this series is very nostalgic for me. Like it is, when I think about what it was like to own a PlayStation when those first came out, Tekken and like Ridge Racer, like these Namco games, like really defined what it was to be a PlayStation owner. So it's a very special thing for me, and I just love the way that this fighting system works. The characters are just so batshit ridiculous too. It makes it fun, and there's a lot of collectible items that you can get to customize your characters. So you can make a serious jerk like Brian look like, give him butterfly wings and pink pants. I mean, you can go all out. You can have a lot of fun screwing around with these characters.
There are no stats like there are in Injustice. That's just aesthetics, right?
Right, yeah. So some of the items you equip, like in Tekken Tag 2, and I'm not sure about Tekken 6, but some of the items you equip can be used as weapons. So like I have a guy with a pizza on his back that he can throw across the ring. And
Nice.
Fucking sick.
Yeah. Like I told you, this game's ridiculous. Why didn't you believe me?
Rob's going to go download
Love
this
it.
right now.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, those things, you're risky. You're putting yourself at risk to use them because there's a very long wind up. But they can change a character who doesn't have a projectile.
Well, yeah.
Give
Have
them
you
a
ever
projectile.
thrown a pizza in real life, dude? That's not something you could just sling off the wrist. You got to get ready for it.
Depends on the crust.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
if
And
it's New
whether
York
it's
style.
New York or Chicago.
Dude, if you throw a deep dish pizza at someone, they're not getting back up for a while. Did you get the chance to watch the stream we did of this
Yeah.
last
So
week?
that was the weird double lobby set
cut.
for anybody wondering,
Yeah.
where we had Mr. Naps.
Was that Richard Lee's first time on camera for GameSpot? So Richard Lee is one of our more prolific fighting game players here in the office, but he's also always behind a camera, like maybe 80% of the time if there's a video with like camera work, it's Richard Lee. But it was fun to see him on a stream. But like I said, he's also a big fighting game player, and I'm so sorry, the name of the player escapes me.
Mr. Naps.
Mr. Naps, thank you very much. You just said that. The stream was pretty funny because at one point he was using one hand to fight like
and-
Ben and Tay and people.
Well,
Right, we
yeah,
saw
so-
that in the beginning of the B-roll.
Yeah, so he was playing with one hand, but also he was playing with his left hand. So movement and buttons, like he had to like completely take his hand off of the joystick.
Yeah,
in
because
order
he
to
was on the
hit.
right side.
It was,
Right.
Yeah, it was so cool to watch. And like Chastity's a huge Tekken fan, and she would always, when we both worked at IGN together, she would always like sweep tournaments. So it's just really funny to watch them like be like, how is he beating us with one hand? So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's archived. You can go watch that on our YouTube and Twitch channel. Or sorry, YouTube and Twitch and GameSpot. Do either of you have interest in Tekken 7?
Not quite.
When you said pizza,
You had me at pizza.
I want to try it out for sure.
You should, yeah. It's like something I feel like people should at least play the brief little character stories just to get a sense of a game, because it looks like such a self-serious game. Like you wouldn't believe how funny it can be if you just dig into it. And it's actually not that hard to find that stuff. One of the other cool things is it has every cutscene from every Tekken game ever made in it.
what?
Yeah, which is pretty rad. So,
In their original graphics or like updated?
No, the original
Oh, okay.
resolution. So, and actually in the story mode, it'll put like, if a character is thinking back to a time, it'll cut to like a low res, like PlayStation 1 video. Yeah.
That's
That
really
is-
awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It doesn't take itself too seriously despite appearances. Yeah, I think Tekken's wonderful. It's one of those games that kind of gets lost behind the noise of something like Injustice and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that it's still kicking.
I know I've already kind of recommended a few videos and articles on GameSpot, but I think it was last year, Timur Hussein in the UK interviewed Harada.
Oh yeah,
That's probably worth checking out.
yeah.
Harada being the,
Harada's a character,
Harada's
Timur is a character together.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who don't know who Harada is.
Katsuhiro Harada is sort of the lead of the Tekken series, and he's an interesting guy. Always has sunglasses. Always has
sunglasses.
Always has an opinion. Yeah.
He was at last year's Pokemon World Championship. No, I think it was in Boston. He was in the, which was 2 years ago. Just like I saw him from a distance with his sunglasses on. And he's like surrounded by women, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, there he is. It's Harada. That's how you know it's Harada.
The
women and the sunglasses.
The pantheon of followers.
But he was there for Pokken. I should have.
The Team Tekken helped develop Pokken, basically. Yeah.
To review, do you have a tentative time frame next week sometime?
I mean, we got to get the servers to go live, and it's not just about 1v1 matches. There are these like small tournaments they've cooked up. There's a lot of things I need to test. So in a perfect world, I'll have a review ready Saturday. I have a feeling it's going to be into day Monday, so I can play this weekend.
Cool.